Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning back into episode 6. Yes, we are on episode 6. I have finally finished filming all of my October videos, and now we are on to November. I hope you guys really enjoyed the first few episodes. I didn't know how you would feel about the topics I chose or how I did them, so I hope you guys enjoyed them. I was very nervous. But a lot of you have seemed to like it. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. I've also gotten I've gotten a lot of great feedback on my Facebook page that I have for the podcast, which if you are interested in joining, just let me know and I can give you the link. So far it's just for the people that I know or the people that I know inviting other people. But that can definitely be changed if you guys aren't interested. We just have really great discussions over there, and I don't know, it's a really nice community. We don't allow anything like racism, homophobia, ableism? Anything that's toxic, you're just not allowed, so it's a pretty positive place over there. So if you're interested in joining, then let me know. But yeah. So today we were talking about green witchcraft finally, because I know my name is Tales of a Green Witch Podcast, and I don't think we've talked about it so far. We're also going to be talking about herbalism, what it has to do with green witchcraft, and some good plants for beginners and herbs for beginners. So there's also going to be a part 2 to this, and it's going to be next week's video. So I'm really excited. This was so fun to research. I learned some things that I didn't expect, so it was really cool. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop on into this. So, what is green witchcraft? It is a noun. Basically a witch specializing in the earthen world. Green witches know much about the identities, myths, care, and etc. of plant life and seek to preserve it. They attempt to connect with the earthen world with a new age methods such as meditating. They acknowledge magic and use it in tune with natural forces to accomplish a goal, like, using witchcraft. And the goals may include, but are not limited to, healings, protectings, blessings, and green witches are usually knowledgeable in herbalism. You do not have to actually be a witch to be a green witch, technically. I know you're probably like, what? There's plenty of people that just love plants, and I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so the book Green Witch by Erin Murphy Hiscock, you've probably seen it everywhere. She explains it so well in that book. Just go read it. I don't know how to explain it, but you don't have to actually practice witchcraft to be a green witch. So, and I didn't mention this, but everything that I use for my research, articles and all that will be linked down below. But yeah, because I guess when you hear green witch, you just assume that you have to practice, and you don't. So that's really great about it. So green magic is that unexplained energy and force, natural magic that occurs in nature. It's all around us, but not everyone is really aware of it or open to it. To believe in the existence of green magic doesn't preclude any established religion. You don't have to practice anything to be a green witch, which I know might sound weird, but you really don't have to be. It's just the power from the natural world made by whoever's hand you want to attribute it to, whether that be God, whether that be a deity, whether that just be to whatever. It doesn't matter. But people of all spiritual beliefs acknowledge that magical life force in nature, and that it goes by many different names. So, our ancestors, that was my roommate that stormed by. Let me go close my door Give me a second. Sorry about that interruption. He just stormed by really loudly. He does not know the concept of quietness. But anyways, our ancestors, uncluttered by the complexities of our modern world, were far more in touch with the mysterious forces that surround them. I wholeheartedly believe that. With all this, I don't want to say, no, all of like this new tech and stuff, you've really just kind of lost touch with the natural world. And I mean, it hasn't like ruined, okay, maybe it has. I don't know, they were just really more in touch, and I think we kind of missed that. But I don't want to go off on a tangent, that's not what you're here for. But the changing seasons, the miracle of growth every spring, animal lore, the return of the sun after winter, it's all natural phenomena, which we nowadays just dismiss because we understand the scientific reasons behind them. And not to say that science is dumb or anything, it's just, there's more to it than that. But it was honored by people of the old. When you live close to nature, you understand more completely just how very dependent we are on her bounty, which is so true. You don't understand just how much we depend on the animals and the plants and the earth around us. You kind of lose touch with that. But when it's gone, you're going to notice it. But by seeing nature as a manifestation of divinity, the human soul regains something that was lost when we turned Earth into what it is now, which is just so fucking sad. But green witchcraft is not to be confused with eco-awareness. It's not the same thing. But it is vital to halt the damage that we're doing to the environment and treat the planet with care and respect. But green magic is different than eco-awareness. And it concerns our psyches and our spiritual well-being. So, not the same thing. Just in case you were wondering or you were curious. So when we say green magic, we mean the magic practice carried out throughout the prevalent aid of herbs, flowers, and spices, both fresh or dried. The use of plants is linked to magic and religious practices since the dawn of time. All ancient civilizations were profound connoisseurs of the plant world and used its properties to both treat body diseases and for magical and religious rituals. Every natural element of earth has a specific virtue and is linked to the celestial world from which it receives strong occult influences, acting as an intermediary between us and power. However, herbal magic, is not only based on physical forms. It must be understood that the matter that surrounds us in nature is the result of powerful forces that we can also perceive as well as touch. So, we're gonna get into this, but you don't have to just, herbal magic isn't just buying herbs from a store, it's in your backyard. And we're gonna get into this either later in this episode or part 2, maybe both, but yeah, we're also into drying herbs. I don't know if it's gonna be in this episode either. Also, we're not gonna get into some, I guess, deities, you could say, and I'm sorry if I pronounce any of them wrong. I just can't pronounce anything ever, but I am going to try to, and if I can't, I'm just going to stop myself and continue on. So, is it Gaia, Mother Earth, Yamaya, or God, are all a reflection of the Green Witch's environment, which has a great influence on them. The planet here is for the Green Witch. The responsibility is taking care of it for future generations. The Junus Loki are the spirits of the land on the planet. This includes the spirits of the local trees, bushes, flowers, rivers, soil, stones, oceans, and wildlife. Everything has a spirit, everything is living. I know it might sound weird, but Keldon in his book, The Crooked Path, he said, he really talked about how important it is to ask. Say you're going to go in your backyard and you're going to get some, say you have mint growing. Whether or not you planted it there or not, which I'm sure you did, you should always ask the spirit of the mint, which I know might sound weird, whether or not you can take it, And if you can, you'll feel fine. If you can't, you're going to have this weird feeling you might not feel great. And that is its spirit or the genus Loki telling you no. I know it sounds weird how I'm explaining it, so I'm suggesting his book right now. He explains it much better than me, and he really explains the importance of asking permission before you take what's not yours. If you're interested, I can leave that book down below, but let's continue on. But it is essential to learn all about your local genus Loki in order to harness those energies in your craft. So you can get yourself a journal or a composition book. It can be fancy or basic. I have one. It's just a basic notebook that I wrote a few things in and never used again. But it will serve as your recipe book. Recipe book. I just jot down notes about plants, honestly. I don't have any recipes. But in that journal, you can take note of the genus Loki as well as the simple things you need to take care of when you start being a green witch. It will become your own experiences about the woods, the land, the wildlife, so how things interact with each other. How does the land look? What's in your backyard? Whatever's growing in your backyard, can you burn it? Because some things, when you burn it, you can't inhale because that might be toxic. Can you eat it? Can you use it in certain rituals? So you're going to start jotting that stuff down in your notebook. But when starting to learn how to become a green witch, the crucial thing you need to consider is growing things. You should start with a couple of pots, a couple of bags of seeds, some soil, and a watering can. Now, I want to be very clear on this part. Watering can, you don't need to go out and buy anything fancy. Honestly, I use a jug that I fill up with water. Seeds, I get really cheap seeds from Walmart. Pots, I usually repurpose pots if I have a plant that I just cannot keep alive for some reason, or if one grows out of it and I don't have another plant that will fit into it. So you don't have to go and buy brand new things. You can repurpose what you have around here, around you. Around here, I also use, they don't have drainage holes, but I also know about how much to water plants, so I can usually stop myself before I go overboard. But I also repurpose old candle jars. I clean them out completely, and then I put the soil in there, and they thrive. So you don't have to just have pots. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff. You really, really, really don't. So I really want to stress that, because I've read a lot of articles that was saying all this fancy stuff. You really don't have to have it. So, so you probably don't have the soil hanging around. So you'll just a small amount of money to prepare all the materials that you need to practice. Choose a spot to get ample amounts of sun and try to plant herbs. After practicing, you'll recognize your skill has improved. A green witch's practice revolves around plants and trees. You should create a green altar to honor the local land spirits, fairies, and elements. I will be honest, I have not done that. It sounds really interesting, and I would really love to do it. I don't know what stopped me from doing it, but I really wanted to do that, but I just haven't done it yet. But it can be a small shelf on a wall, or the tarp, or it can be the top of a large area. You can choose objects that represent the elements: a cup of water for the water element, a bowl of salt or stones for earth, candles for fire, incense or feathers for air. Add greenery from your favorite local trees and plants like pine needles, acorns, evergreen boughs, flowers, all that good stuff. Allow them to dry on the altar or place it when you feel like it. You can also add photos or figurines of fairies and the Green Man, which we are also going to be getting into the Green Man in case you're like, well, who's this new character? We will be getting into that. But that will be later on. But one of the vital steps in learning how to become a green witch is learning how to work with herbs. Herbalism. I'm just tripping over my words today, aren't I? Herbalism is a huge topic. And you're not going to learn it at one time. You're really not. There's just so much to grasp about it. But start small with the herbs you decide to grow. Learn everything about those herbs that you can, and then begin using the herbs in your cooking and teas if they're edible. Always research if it's edible, if you can inhale it, if you can digest it. all of that. Be very, very careful because a lot of things look alike and some of them might not be edible. So please, 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 please research. And you can also use it in your magic, the herbs that you grow. And this is just a side note. If you're ever wondering about plants and some herbalism stuff, I know that's a really weird way to phrase that. Some YouTubers that I love is Gather Time. Oh my goodness, I love her. She has, some of her videos are called A Page from My Herbal Grimoire or something like that. And she will spend a specific video will be on certain plants. She goes into herbalism and paganism. It's so great. And then there's also The Green Witch. That's the channel name, also on YouTube. Those are the two that I specifically watch that are into green witchcraft. So I really suggest them. But going back to what we're saying, you're going to move on to learning the medicinal properties of herbs. After you learn one or two herbs inside and out, move on to a few more. Keep building your knowledge from there. Being a green witch means using natural materials in your craft. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of herbs from fancy stores. Like, you don't. You can actually find a lot of them in your backyard. Like I said, though, you need to be careful and research the plants that you see. Because some of them you probably shouldn't even touch, if we're being honest. But always, always, always research stuff before you just use it. But I do get some of my herbs online. I get it from the Coven's Cottage. They have so many different ones for like $3. They're really cheap in my opinion. But I also dry some of my own herbs from my own yard, so. But in addition, most people have a plethora of magical herbs right in their kitchen pantry. A lot of people don't know this. But the herbs that you cook with are actual herbs. Some people, it just like blows their minds. But herbs and spices like cinnamon, oregano, pepper, cumin, thyme, all that good stuff that you use in your cooking, you can use in your magic work too. You don't have to go out and buy something completely different. You really don't. There's no difference. It's all herb. It's all herb. But if you don't know where to start with magic, try a simple candle spell and use herbs. I do this a lot. I love it so much. Using candles and herbs, love it. And you should also take into consideration what color of magic candle you use when you're doing the ritual or spell, because there's color correspondences and everything. But there's actually going to be a video on that. It's going to be, I'm looking at my notes right now, episode 10. So you got a few more episodes, but we're going to be talking about candle magic. And in there we actually talk about color correspondences. But because green witches practice their craft outside and in nature, it's only natural to forge a connection with the green man and the city, or the sighty. I know it's fairies, because I had to look it up, and they're like, yeah, it's fairies. I just don't know how to pronounce it. So I'm sorry, but the green man is the protector of the forest. He's ancient and can be found in nearly every forest all over the world. You've likely seen his face on plaques or motifs in gardens. He's got like the face that's covered in foliage. It's like the face of an old man. So you can give him natural offerings on your forest walks and have a healthy respect for the wilderness and of him and for the forest itself. Your connection with the earth and the genus Loki will make it easier for you to connect with the fairies, which is this, I cannot pronounce that word. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say. But he is the ancient guardian of the forest. He's depicted as being a man with green skin and covered completely in foliage of various types. The most famous illustration of him shows him with oak leaves and acorns, hawthorn leaves, and sometimes holly leaves and berries. Sometimes leaves spew from his mouth. So he's like a symbol of rebirth, rejuvenation, and the life and death cycle. So his job is to keep the woods wild, to preserve the wildlife of the forest, plants, trees, rivers, animals that are threatened by our modern advancements. So he's just everywhere. I remember seeing plaques of him in like my grandma's garden when I was younger, and never knew that the Green Man would be making another appearance. But yeah, that's who he is. He's essentially the king of the fairies of the forest. It's been theorized that he was once a central figure of May Day, in ancient times called Beltane, which is a fertility celebration of spring and summer. Some debate this notion that he hasn't been forgotten and has been carried through to modern times by the way of the English Jack in the Green tradition. Jack in the Green is a custom performed on May Day in which a man is dressed all in foliage and paraded in a procession. The tradition nearly died out but has seen a revival because of pagan groups in England. While seemingly odd in modern times, in ancient times it might have been performed as a means to ensure a bountiful summer, like fertility and good luck. A similar tradition in Scotland called the Berryman exists today, in which a man is covered in a costume and made of nothing but burdock heads or berries, and waltzed around town to ensure good luck for the coming year. And in Derbyshire, the Garland King is dressed in all flowers. The tradition of covering oneself in foliage isn't a new idea, and many believe it originated with our pagan ancestors in a pre-Christian Europe. So the Green Man has been around for quite some time. And there's, as you can see, very many different variations of him. But now we're going to move on to what is herbalism. So it's the study or practice of the medicinal and therapeutic use of plants, now especially as a form of alternative medicine. It's also referred to as phytotherapy or botanical medicine, and it's one of the earliest systems of medicine known. It is the practice of making or prescribing plant-based herbal remedies for medical conditions. Practitioners of herbalism may be licensed MDs, naturopaths, or osteopaths. They may also be unlicensed. Interested consumers should seek out knowledgeable and preferably licensed herbalists, which I would also recommend. I'm not saying that if you're unlicensed you don't know anything. I'm just saying that people with licenses in those fields make me feel a lot better. That's all I am saying. But for centuries, people have used herbs, roots, and flowers for all kinds of medicinal and spiritual purposes. Imbued with meanings, each plant is reputed to carry its own vibrations and spirit. Plants can support us internally as medicine or externally by drawing certain energies and vibrations. So, now we're actually going to get into some different herbs and plants and all that good stuff, and I'm going to be telling you kind of like their medicinal properties, like what they're supposed to fix with you medically, and then spiritually and all that other good stuff. So you're going to see. So this is by no means the whole list. These are just some very popular ones. So the first one we're going to talk about is amaranth. It reduces swelling, helps stomach flu, fixes broken hearts. Angelica aids colic, hepatitis, protects home and garden. Basil eases stomach cramps, insect bites, and fevers, banishes negativity and keeps love. Calendula aids gum disease, encourages psychic development. Chamomile, I love chamomile. It helps insomnia, eases sores, attracts money, protects home, aids meditation. Daisy helps headaches, brings good luck, and I know a lot of people have daisy in their backyard. So also the next one, dandelion, which detoxifies liver, promotes circulation, aids clairvoyance. Eucalyptus works as an insect repellent, aids health, purification. Garlic works as a natural antibiotic, dispels negativity and protects the home. Lavender, I also love lavender, eases nervous tension and stress, used in healing incenses and sachets. Lemon balm, I also love lemon balm, eases bee sting, headaches and colds, used in healing and friendship spells. Patchouli eases dysentery, diarrhea and nausea, wards off evil. Rose, I like using a rose, but I hate the smell of it. But it nourishes the skin, purifies blood, aids love spells. And when I say love spells, I don't just mean like romantic love, I also mean like self-love as well. Sage eases laryngitis, stomach troubles, spiritual purification, banishes evil. Star anise eases stomach disorders, wards off evil eye. And thyme, used as an antiseptic and repels nightmares. I have not used thyme yet. I want to use it so bad. I also love sage. I didn't say that, but I love sage. But yeah, those are just some common herbs that I see people, whether it be in videos or articles or books that they mention. These are a lot of them. By no means is this all of them. In fact, we're going to be talking about a lot more in part 2. We're also going to be talking about herbs and plants that are at risk of being extinct, some that are endangered, some that are toxic, and we're also going to be talking about some more popular ones. So we're going to look out for that in the next episode. But for now, that is going to be all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was such a fun episode for me. I love talking about herbs and plants. And I felt weird making episodes and not talking about them because my name is the Tales of a Green Witch podcast. But there will be a lot more episodes on them. We're just doing part 1 and part 2 for now. Later on there will be a lot more, like I said. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Like I said, next week will be part 2. We'll also be talking about protection herbs. I'm looking at my notes as we speak, so. Episode 8, we will be talking about hexing, banishing, and warding magic. Episode 9 will be spells and rituals. And then episode 10, candle magic. I am so excited for all of these. You guys don't know. So, I will see you next Thursday at 3 p.m. like always. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.